The Denver Broncos are the single worst team in the NFL when it comes to one really important category offensively. And if they don't get it figured out in a hurry, the Cincinnati game that everyone's chalking up as a auto win could become a one-score game in the second half or late stages of that Monday Night Football game here in just a couple days. All right, I want to talk about that, what that is in about 10 seconds. Guys, first, thanks for being here. Don't forget, smash that subscribe button. We are so close to 700 subscribers. We just started making videos every day on Labor Day, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Liking this video, drop your thought in the comments. All that stuff helps the algorithm and helps me for sure. Okay, the Denver Broncos are the single worst team in the NFL when it comes to early down success rate. Okay, how do you get to a point in week 3 where the team is 2 for 13 on third downs? How do you get to a point in the second half where you're 0 for 6 on third downs? Because the Broncos, through 3 weeks anyway, have been absolute dog water on first and second down. That's what quantifies, early downs. It's first down, it's second down. And then when it comes to success rate, I like success rate because it just adds more context and nuance than a lot of these straightforward football numbers. What you're trying to do on any given down is different than what you'll do or are trying to achieve on the very next down. So let me give you a silly example, and it's not even that silly. Say it's first down, right? And I run for 1.5 yards. That's not a successful first down. But if it's 4th and 1 and I run for 1.5 yards, we're all celebrating an incredible, a conversion, right? So what you're trying to do on a down-to-down basis can differ, right? So success rate takes that into account. So like on first down, right, 1st and 10, you're trying to achieve, in terms of reaching a success rate, you're trying to achieve 40% of the line to gain. On second down, according to success rate, you're trying to achieve 60% of the line to gain. And then, of course, on 3rd and 4th down, you're trying to achieve 100% of the line to gain. So it's pretty straightforward, but I like it because it takes into the contextual nature of the game of football. So the Broncos are the worst team in the NFL through 3 weeks on early downs when it comes to success rate. I'm going to give you guys a lot of numbers, and I don't like to do numbers, because I don't think that sometimes is as interesting as just human, observation and stuff like that. But when I took a deep dive into this Broncos offense, it's so alarming that I have to relay some of this stuff to you. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of information about Bo Nix, but I don't want this to be like a beat up Bo session. This is about Bo, yes, because he's the most important member of the offense, but it is about the offense in totality. All right. So let's go over some of these numbers here. 72% of Broncos first downs reach third down. Think about that. 72% of the time, Broncos first downs reach third down. What does that mean? It means that 3 out of every 4 times nearly, they need all 3 downs to reach 10 yards. All right? You don't have to have a first down only on third down, right? You can get a first down on first down. You can get a first down on second down. But that hasn't been the case, not even close for the Denver Broncos, one of the worst in the leagues by that percentage. Another number, only 19% of the time, 19% of their plays for the Denver Broncos achieve a first down. Only 19%. That's 1 out of 5, nearly. That's problematic because you only get 3 opportunities for the line to gain before it's 4th down. All right, that ranks 29th currently in the NFL. Bo Nix is averaging 50% completion. This is wild. Bo Nix is averaging 50% completion on first and second downs, despite 42% of his passes being thrown at or behind the line of scrimmage. That is hard to reconcile. That is not good. Not good. A 50% completion, right? When on first and second down, when 42% of your passes are at or behind the line of scrimmage, that is a disturbing completion percentage given the difficulty of the ask on those first and second downs for Bo Nix. More numbers. 70% of Bo Nix's passes on first and second down are within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Guys, that's the second highest rate in the NFL after only Tyrod Taylor, who came in backup duty. All right? That is problematic. That's got to get better. All right? Bo Nix is averaging just 5.2, so 5 yards, 5 air yards per attempt on early downs. That ranks 33rd in a league of 32 because we've had so many backups play. There's someone out there that's doing it at a higher level than Bo Nix, all right? And sometimes you'll hear old, curmudgeon football guys like, well, air yards, what does that mean? It's not that hard. How far does the ball travel in the air, right? So you're averaging 5.2 air yards per attempt on first and second down. That ranks 33rd. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. More numbers. Early down runs. This is not just about Bo. This is why I want to say this. This is not just about Bo. Because there's context to the running game too, which has been kind of hard to diagnose because some of the raw numbers say Broncos have a good running game. But then when you actually watch the game, it doesn't necessarily feel like that when you're actually touching the fabric on a down-to-down basis of these games, right? So Bronco early runs in first halves, all right? So we have 3 games so far. That means we have 3 first halves to look at. And so runs on first and second downs in these first 3 halves, what does it look like? All right, by the numbers, early down runs in first halves this season, guys, Bronco running backs rank 31st in success rate, 28th in yards per carry. 36% of early down runs in the first half have gone for 0 or 1 yards. That's the 8th highest rate in the NFL. All right, only 18% of their early down first half runs have gone for 5 yards or more. That ranks 31st in the NFL. All right, so in first halves on first and second downs, the Broncos have been among the worst rushing teams in the league. All right, this is disturbing considering that the Broncos offensive line has the number one, and I'm talking about all these numbers together. The Broncos, by the numbers, according to Pro Football Focus and ESPN, have the number 1 pass blocking offensive line in pro football and the number 10 highest run blocking grade in the NFL. So how do we reconcile these terrible numbers, particularly on first and second downs when the offensive line, again, by the numbers, grades out as some of the best in the NFL? Like, the two things shouldn't be able to live in the same universe, right? A little bit more here. Not only do the Broncos have that offensive line by the numbers, but they've actually faced 2 bottom 10 defenses in the first 3 weeks. The Titans ranked 28th in defense, total defense, and the Colts ranked 23rd in total defense. All right, so they're not going up against the 85 Bears. All right, it's more about the Broncos' struggles than their opposition lining up across from them. Bengals, this coming Monday night, they have the 20th overall defense, but on early downs, which is what we're talking about here, on early downs, Bengals have the 25th ranked defense on early downs. So we're going to have a team that really struggles on early downs, both run and pass, all right, but particularly in the pass, against a team that really struggles defensively on those early downs. So something's got to give. And in my mind, it's like, what an opportunity for Bo Nix, this ground game, this offense, to really get right against this Bengals defense, which we knew coming in was going to be amongst the worst in the NFL. All right. Bengals have allowed more yardage on intermediate throws than any other team in the NFL. Here's the problem. Bo Nix right now is graded out per Next Gen Stats as the single worst quarterback in the NFL when it comes to intermediate throws. And if you think about watching the games and what we just went through, a lot of his passes are at or behind the line of scrimmage or they're deep shots. All right. We don't see a lot of success in that like mid-range jump shot, I like to call it. All right. That intermediate, that middle portion of the field. All right. So again, what an opportunity for Bo to have a big overcorrection in that category. When Bo's going long, guys, he's 2 for 8 on throws 25 yards or more downfield. 4 of the 8 have been deemed as off-target attempts, meaning that he's giving his target no chance. All right. So, and also when he's facing pressure, Bo Nix ranks dead last among qualified quarterbacks when facing pressure. He's 8 for 20 for 54 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So we're looking at a young quarterback who doesn't have a run game, especially early in the game on first and second down. He's struggling against pressure. He is struggling pushing the ball down the field with accuracy. And he's actually struggling with his accuracy even at or behind the line of scrimmage, as well as being graded out as the worst quarterback in the intermediate. So, the sky's not falling. It's early in the season, but you cannot fix a problem unless you admit you have one. Bo Nix has got to be better. This run game has got to be better, all right? Because if they continue to struggle against this Cincinnati Bengals defense in this sort of a wholesale way, which they have, we are going to be coming in here asking some really, really hard questions about Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and this Broncos offense. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Remember, smash that subscribe button. You guys are at the nucleus of this channel. This is the foundation in years to come, all right? You guys, the first 700 subscribers, hopefully, the first 1,000 subscribers, all right? Appreciate you being here. Like this video. Drop me those thoughts in the comments. Would love to interact with you there. But for now, that'll do it. You'll hear more from me tomorrow.